It's a little windy outside, but I don't care. I'm back! It's been a long couple of weeks for me with the whole dentist thing and laying around taking antibiotics, but I'm finally free and my mouth feels better than ever. A little sore, but better than ever otherwise. And I wasn't kidding before. It is really windy outside. Welcome everybody to the tiny, almost unheard of town in California called Oro Grande. As you can see, there's not much to see out here, just a lot of dust. I just got a mouthful of sand. I think there might actually be more train cars than people in this town. Check out this old building here, the Bank of Oro Grande, established 1860. It is very boarded up and closed these days, but it's crazy to think that there's stuff that old just sitting out here in the California desert. I've never heard of Oro Grande before really until today. But the crazy part is, it's really not that far off the beaten path that I usually travel. This right here that you're looking at, this little stretch of partial desolation is a stretch of old Route 66. And like many other towns on Route 66 all across America, you can see that Oro Grande, while once probably prosperous because of the visitors along the old Mother Road, it has now mostly dried up, but there's still a few little shops in this downtown here that are rocking a nice Route 66 flavor. That was a weird sentence. Right next to the old bank, we have the Cross-Eyed Cow Pizza Parlor. And I gotta tell you, it's pretty painful to look at. Not because it's ugly or anything, because the wind is blowing all this dirt and sand right at my eyeballs. There's a small liquor store at the end of the street, but otherwise it looks like most of the shops here are little hole-in-the-wall antique shops. It's actually freezing cold and super windy out here, but there are still some Route 66 tourists checking out the scene. And I couldn't help but notice that there's a bus stop here in Oro Grande. That's pretty cool. This little strip of Route 66 is actually a strip I've never traveled before, in between Victorville and Barstow, which are places that I go all the time when I'm traveling to Vegas or anywhere else in the country. But this tiny strip of desert is one that, for one reason or another, I've actually never traveled down. This would actually be a cool, sort of romantic, idyllic Route 66 desert town if it weren't for the fact that it's really cold and, like I said before, really windy. The wind itself isn't that bad if it weren't, you know, super cold wind. It's just that it's pelting me with all the sand and rocks around here. Now I know what it's like to be sandblasted. I don't mind too much though, because I didn't get breakfast this morning, so the sand is providing me with much needed calories. Wait a minute, is this gluten-free sand? Look at this here. Here we have Shelly's shop. Shelly's shop actually looks pretty nice. Must be awesome to own a little antique shop like this. Well, awesome as long as you have enough customers. But my favorite thing is stuff like this. The side of the Oro Grande shops here. All these little old buildings connected together. A, I love when historic buildings get preserved by little businesses opening up in them. And B, I love artwork like this. All that Route 66 folk art. A lot of Route 66 map murals out there. All designed to pull people like me off of the highway. Look at this Route 66 placard right here by all these antiques. That is awesome. We've got Lona's Treasures, Silver Trails, a lot of little businesses in this very old looking building. Look at that. Pretty cool. I think it's interesting that all those settlers from back east that were coming out to the old west tried to make everything look like Main Street, USA. Make it look like it did back home. Building all these somewhat Victorian looking brick buildings probably wasn't a lot different than us going around to all the unclaimed spots in the desert and building our fake Mediterranean architecture looking McDonald's that we do now. I love these giant like plywood cutout things. Like, I'm pretty sure this is Scarlett O'Hara here. She's looking nice. Oh, and over here we've got Sherlock Holmes himself. Sherlock, can you solve the mystery of what happened to Oro Grande? Why is it so small and dried up? What happened to the old Route 66, Sherlock? Figure that out. Whoa, there's an earthquake warning in the window there, letting you know that this old school building is not exactly designed for earthquake safety. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, Sherlock. I am really tempted to buy this gas mask here, just to protect me from the sand. Every time I close my teeth together, I can feel a crunch. Well, as much as I love antique shops, I honestly probably shouldn't go inside. Check out the top of the Cross-Eyed Cow. Look at that bicycle built for two up there. That's pretty cool. I gotta tell you, that pizza over here smells really, really good. From what one of the ladies at the antique stores just told me, Oro Grande's actually been here for a long time, and apparently there was a lot of gold and silver mining attempted out here. I wonder if those few lucky miners came here to put their money into the old bank. That's my deal today, is I'm trying to keep my money in the bank, at least till I pay my taxes, which is why I have to avoid going inside the antique shops or I will lose all my money. I just like old things and I'm always tempted to buy them, and then I get them home and I'm like, what do I do with this now? Check this out really quick though before I go. I just noticed the entrance to Cross-Eyed Cow Pizza is an old car door. That is pretty cool. Unfortunately, I probably can't eat the pizza here, or maybe I can eat it. When pigs fly! They told me that less than 1,000 people live in this town, but you wouldn't know it judging by all the cars parked around here. Check this out, just in front of where I parked is a big mural painted on a train called The Evolution of the United States. And what I love about it is that the history here starts with the California Gold Rush, goes on to the Civil War, etc., but they don't even count history before the gold rush. Apparently out here, the evolution of the United States began with California. It's pretty cool though. It moves up to Golden Gate Bridge being completed, John Glenn, first astronaut to orbit Earth, Martin Luther King Jr. assassination, US population reaches 300 million in 2006. Here's the best part, okay? Barack Obama, first African-American president. Then over here, 2012, we have Hurricane Sandy. 2013, breakthrough for I don't know. And back here in 2011, nothing happened. Nothing. It's just, what happened? There was just nothing going on. I don't know why, but that's so funny. Anyway, across the thing over here, check this out. Look at the back side of some of the antique shops. This over here, I love this stuff. Someone has set up their own little miniature Old West town. Look at this. Here's the saloon and the post office, and you got the blacksmith over here. There's a sheriff and a jail with a little prisoner inside. I love stuff like this, and the wind is definitely helping with the mood and the ambiance. Keep your eyes peeled for this guy. There's a $1,000 reward. Oh wait, he's already in jail. This is really interesting here, this tree that someone has constructed out of real branches and some metal branches. Metal owls, paper owls. Very interesting. This trash can here is actually a sophisticated weather device. This actually tells you what the weather is. If the trash can is swinging, it's windy. Oh, and what would the Old West be without the old stagecoach up there? I love stuff like that. Whoever did that has my utmost respect. I don't know if you guys can hear the creaking and groaning sounds of the wind here. This rocking chair moving by itself. It's kind of got a little creepy, eerie feeling. If it was night, I'd be pretty creeped out. Can I get you a drink, honey? No thank you, ma'am. I'm full. But I do like your feather. It's kind of hard to spot, but way back there, on that road back there, I can see tumbleweeds blowing across the road. Quintessential Old West. All right, as much as I love this artwork, and as much as I think this little Route 66 town is cool, I actually have somewhere to be today, and I'm kind of on a time limit. So it's time to leave old Oro Grande and head back out onto old Route 66. There's a lot of weird industrial stuff out here. Maybe mines, maybe, I don't know what, cement companies, power plants. Definitely a hard scrabble life out here in the desert. I often wonder when I come through little towns like this if most of the people living here have had grandparents, maybe great-grandparents that lived here, or did they just move out here recently? Have they only been out here for 5 or 10 years, and why would they move out here? Me personally, on either side, my family came to Southern California in the 1950s, actually along Route 66, some of them, because of the whole post-war expansion, all that kind of stuff. But I always find myself very interested in how people got to where they got, you know, why'd their families move there? Always interesting to me. Not much to see here, but tumbleweeds and little old-timey shacks out here. Well, there's a few interesting things out here, but I'm gonna save them for a warmer, slightly less windy day. Today, I've gotta make it to Barstow before 4 o'clock. All week laid up after the dentist, all I could think of is on the way to Vegas when I tried to stop at that Route 66 museum, and it was all closed up. Well, supposedly it's open today, if we can get there in time, so we gotta book it down this road. But there is one more quick stop I'd like to make outside the town of Hellendale. At first glance, it really doesn't seem like there's that much to see in Hellendale, but it's actually the home of a very famous modern Route 66 landmark. This is another one of those places that I've never been but always wanted to go to. This is my first look at it, and I gotta say, Holy roadside attraction, Batman! Welcome to Elmer Long's Bottle Tree Ranch, made up of goodness knows how many bottle trees. Would you look at the size of that bottle forest? Boy, it sure is windy out here. You can hear those bottles a-jangling, well, tumbleweed. All by himself since the 1980s, the guy who lives here, a dude named Elmer Long, has been planting his special trees in front of his house. I bet the first couple of trees weren't that impressive, but as you can see now, you can't even see the house from the road. Ugh. It's very, very windy, very dusty. You know how I was saying I love folk art? Well, this is 2 acres of insane glass Route 66 folk art. This is America, people. Look at that. Who in the world knows why Elmer Long decided to build his bottle tree ranch? Probably just the urge to be creative. That I can understand. But unlike some of the more strange and unusual characters out there creating strange art, Elmer Long's Route 66 bottle tree ranch is open to visitors. He does live on the property. No idea if he's here, but the gate's open. The sign says welcome, so I'm gonna go ahead and come on in. I gotta tell you though, I'm a little nervous. It's a little creepy and off-putting, the wind and the jingling, and there could be 5 people out here and I would not know. Look at all of this. Look at this old stovetop, all these glass insulators, thousands and thousands of bottles. Oh, look, here's some jugs. A lot of old railroad and mining equipment. I think that's an old laundry mangle. Oh, and check out what I just saw. Huh? Oh man, whenever the sun peeks out and hits these bottles, it is a really, actually beautiful looking sight. Kind of amazing out here. Awesome. Look at this, there's all sorts of weird found objects out here. Look at this old menu. You could get the Papa Burger for 85 cents. The Mama looks like it was only 30. Actually, as I get deeper in here, I can actually see the house way back there. I'm sort of half expecting any second someone to pop out at me like, what are you doing on my bottle ranch? Look at all of this. Old gas pumps, old motorcycle, old gumball machine, typewriter on a pole. Dude, this would be amazing to me even without the bottle trees, but the most impressive part are all these bottles. It's hard to describe the feeling you have as you walk through the bottle forest. But check this out. A whirly-majigger. Hear that? Wind chimes. This is awesome. It's a very strange feeling just to wander up into someone's front yard, even if it is covered with amazing bottle trees. You guys know, we've seen a lot of crazy things on old Route 66 together, but this might just be my favorite. Oh yeah? Oh no, I'm just out here at the Bottle Tree Ranch. Oh yeah, okay. Oh yeah, will do, all right, okay. People are always calling me everywhere I go. Man, look at this stuff. Big bottles, tiny bottles, tough bottles, sissy bottles, bottles that climb on rocks, and even a bottle boat. It's a freaking bottle boat. This place is amazing. I want to camp here. So many things moving, which is really interesting. All these windmill things and whirligigs and stuff out here. There's wind chimes. All the bottles are clinking and the poles are creaking. Kind of amazing, you guys. I was really hoping to meet Elmer, but I don't really feel like going and knocking on the door. That just seems a little bit weird to me. Check out these ceramic insulators. It's even more off-putting as you approach the house to see all these guns pointed at you. That is pretty cool, man. That is pretty cool looking. I'm assuming that somebody could make a little bit of decent money by taking these to the recycling center, you know, and getting some cash. But in my opinion, Elmer here has found a much better way to recycle. Honestly, this is much more valuable. I gotta say, this place is the bomb. It's the bomb. This place is the bomb. You would never think that some metal poles with little metal branches with bottles stuck on them, and I don't think they're actually stuck on by anything. Nope, they're just sort of loosely hanging out there. You would never think that these simple materials here could create something so beautiful. When you're coming down the highway and you get the first glimpse of it, it kind of looks like a junkyard or something. But when you actually get in here, honestly, There's something really gorgeous and peaceful about it.
Well, I used to like being out in the desert, but once I found my bottle tree ranch, I knew that I could grow my bottles here, and then I could drink from the bottles, and then I could lick the bottles, and I could do stuff with my bottles. Love them bottles.
There's a very surreal quality to this place, man. It is so cool. Such a weird mix of antiques, like this old hubcap here, and bottles, obviously, found objects, and weird individual folk art pieces, like especially the tops of the poles are all capped with like really interesting stuff. Like, look at this piece of an old digger or old, I don't even know what this is, but look how it's full of bottles here. Like, so many interesting ways of displaying this collection. Just what a cool place to live. It must be so cool to live there and have the whole world come through your front yard to check out your stuff. It's kind of awesome. The house itself, the property actually looks it looks pretty old. You can see that there's some old chicken coops or livestock pens back there. Maybe once upon a time this was a bona fide ranch. I would really like to meet the owner and tell him that I love what he's done with the place. Look at that. Old stove tops, weird plastic bones. What are these? Cool. More bottles and glass insulators. It just wouldn't be Route 66 without glass insulators everywhere. I'm still not 100% sure what they do. And believe me, people have explained it 100 times. I know, something with power lines going around them and whatnot. But after all my travels up and down the Mother Road, they just speak America to me. Route 66 in all its glory. The longer I stay here, the more interesting the actual bottles get to me. Like, look how many different shapes and colors of glass there are. Some are pretty easy to recognize, like the Coca-Cola bottles. Here's some Sprite bottles here, a Fanta bottle or two. I think this one might be a vase, technically. There's an old IBC root beer bottle. You guys remember IBC root beer? Of course, a lot of weird liquor bottles here. That looks like a big bottle for Jack Daniels to me. Oh, check this out. Whoa! Big gust of wind there. Check this out though, right over here on the edge. It looks like there are still more bottle trees being added. Here's a naked bottle tree. This is what it looks like without the bottles. Looks like there's still some more work to do out here. Whoa! The wind! Crazy! It's getting wild out here. Storms are coming! My friend Adam and I always like to quote that line from Back to the Future, where Doc Brown goes outside and goes, "The storm!" This is crazy. You never know with the desert. The wind could stop and the sun could just sit on you for a few minutes and you'd be roasting. Then all of a sudden it could kick up and be freezing out here. At first I was kind of bummed that I came on a day so cold and windy, and now I'm really stoked that I got to come when the clouds are sort of coming in and out and the light is shining all these different ways and the wind kicks up and it gets all loud and crazy out here and all the stuff starts jangling. Pretty awesome. Also pretty awesome that we pretty much had the place all to ourselves for quite a while now, but I can see some more cars parking outside the fence, so maybe we've had our moment. Probably time to go. But I can tell you for sure, I am definitely going to find a way to come back to this place. It is too awesome not to come back. Pretty amazing. Elmer Long's Bottle Tree Ranch. Officially now one of my favorite sites on old Route 66. And the coolest part about this is, like I said, supposedly he started this in the 80s, so it's actually a new Route 66 attraction, which is rad. I really think people should do stuff like this more often. I mean, in a lot of ways, Route 66 is more myth than reality, you know? It's a victim of its own popularity, too. A lot of people travel Route 66 and get disappointed that it's not much different from any other backroads American highway. But I can't help it, man. I'm a true believer, and I think that more people should do more creative things along old Route 66. If I ever make a lot of money, any substantial amount of money in my life, I will one day build a roadside attraction on Route 66 somehow. If not Route 66, somewhere else, but someday that's what I would do. I don't know if I'm this creative. Maybe it's not my calling to build something like this, but I really appreciate people who create things like this and then open up the gates and share them with the world. If you guys have seen my other Route 66 videos, then you know Tour buses come from all over the world, travel up and down the old Mother Road. I see German tourists, Japanese tourists, Kiwis, Australians, Brits and Poles and Russians, even a Frenchman or two. So when you build something like this on Old 66, you're inviting the whole world into your front lawn. That's amazing. Whew. All right, we gotta go. Not only is that Route 66 museum not gonna stay open forever, but I also really kind of gotta pee. Almost had me about 15 Dr. Peppers. Goodbye, bottle trees. Now it's just a hop, skip, and a jump back to old Barstow on old Route 66. It's weird because if you live in Southern California, in your head you think you have to go to Winslow, Arizona, or don't forget Winona, or Kingman, or Barstow, or Oklahoma City to see Route 66. But really, it's right here in our own backyards. Matter of fact, it actually goes through the greater Los Angeles area right into downtown LA. It was the original terminus, the original end of Route 66. Even though nowadays the more popular end of the line is the old Santa Monica Pier. But you look at that, what is all that? I gotta come back and explore this area more. All right, we're just outside of Barstow and I can feel that Dr. Pepper kicking in. Let's see if we have better luck getting in the museum this time. Okay, just entered Barstow city limits. Back past the oldest operating Del Taco and back over the scary bridge. Oh, joy! Ah! Ooh, we're done. And here we are again. We're back at the old historic Harvey House. The famous Casa del Desierto. Pretty awesome. I know this museum isn't open on the weekdays, but I can't help the feeling that it's actually Wednesday. I'll just come around to the backside here and look for this museum. So windy and cold today that I can't feel my brain. But that's never stopped me before. Oh yeah, this time it's open. Flags flapping in the breeze. Prickly cactus looking extra prickly. Okay, time to get out of the wind. Okay. Ooh. Okay, 20,000 points for the walkway. Look at this awesome museum. Sweet gift shop, wonderful exhibits, cool sign. Wow. I need that. Before it was called Route 66, there was still a highway through Barstow. The old National Old Trails Road that connected all the old trails through the desert. And they've got Barstow memorabilia going back all that time. Look at that. That is cool. Old models and high school pictures. That's awesome. There's a record here called Where in the World is Barstow? Is that a song or did they just answer the question? Check out that old high school swag. See, look at this map of the old pioneer trails, some of which, these ones here, got turned into old Route 66. Gosh, I love places like this because I would never see this stuff otherwise. Ooh, look at that old 20-cent Mojave Desert map. 20 cents seems kind of pricey to me. Look at this rad old Barstow police Harley. Actually, a couple of vintage Harleys in here. That's pretty awesome. I don't know much about motorcycles, but I do know that this one's blue. Dude, this place is freaking awesome. Hey, scared me there, buddy. I swear I've seen this guy before. They have a lot of these dummies out around Route 66. This particular one seems to have met with an accident because he has only one hand. Oh no, wait. It's in there. Check out this old wagon. Things like that are pretty awesome. And check out this cool toy police car. That's rad. See, people wonder why I love my Mustang so much. There are a lot of personal reasons, but there's also this. Check out this old 60s Mustang. I love that. There's something about the Mustang. America, Route 66, they just go together. As a matter of fact, I would say that for the most part, most of the cars I see foreign visitors rent to drive Route 66 are usually Ford Mustangs, although a lot newer than this one. Heck yeah, that's a sweet pony car. This was the first Mustang, 1964 and a half, and look at that. Bob's Big Boy, ready to be eaten. I'd way rather cruise down the highway in my car than this, just because my car is, more sealed up and more reliable. But I'd way rather cruise down in Route 66 in this thing than this thing. Look at this old Model T, 1915. Check this out. The original selling price, $490. It was owned by the former mayor. Not a lot on this car in the way of shocks, but these cars were the original thing that people would have cruised down the old Route 66 in. Even in the 30s and 40s, during the Dust Bowl era, people were crossing the country in these, although in somewhat dilapidated condition. The radiators used to burn up a lot of water, especially in the desert. So they would sell big canvas bags you would fill with water and just strap to the side of your car refill this sucker over and over.
Good old horseless carriage.
Whoa, check out this jukebox. Oh, look at that. That is freaking gorgeous. Says you gotta ask the front to play something on the jukebox, but I know I could probably just hit it like the Fonz. Probably get that thing started. Ooh, and look at this old pinball machine. Egghead, Oxy Robot. These ladies do not seem that impressed that the robot is hanging out. The scientist is bummed, like, look at my robot! Look at my robot! Whoa, check this out. Look at this old Army Harley. See, I love old Route 66 museums because they all have different weird things. Usually there's a classic car or two, but look at this. An adjustable wrench display. I gotta admit, I haven't seen that one before. Look at that. That was the other old school option of traveling through the desert. The Super Chief. That was the old Santa Fe train that came through the Southwest. People that rode the Super Chief would stop at Harvey houses, which were the fancy restaurants and nice hotels, one of which is turned into this building here. This very museum is inside of one. This is kind of weird right here. Look at this old bathing suit in the frame. I don't know if you can read this, but there's also a weird nightcap right there. And the little note on it says, my father wore this nightcap. He passed away December 2nd, 1925. Seems like a weird thing to put with the bathing suit, which is a women's bathing suit, on display in the Route 66 museum. But why question it? Just go with it. Look at this. The old filling station mocked up inside the museum. Look at all this old stuff. I love this sign. We fix anything. Some things we fix good. See, that's a real sign. You can tell that one's old and was really used out here somewhere. I'm not a huge fan of reproduction signs like this. That's not a real one. I really want to get my hands on an old, authentic Route 66 sign. Oh, here's a map of the old road through the Mojave Desert. Check out all these postcards from old motels on Route 66. Huh, look at this one. It's Roy's out in Amboy. We've been there. Oh, we've been to this one too. Remember this guy? Didn't look like that inside. Look at all this great old stuff. Old maps, old stuff about World War II. There was a lot of tank training out in the desert out here and a lot of airfields out here in World War II. Ooh, check out that old civil defense helmet. This display case is kind of weird. Old ads and old hair curlers. And my favorite, nude leg and body makeup. That's weird. Why do you need makeup for your legs? I'd rather spend my money on more war bonds. This place is awesome. There's always some sort of film playing at the different Route 66 museums, and it's usually custom to the museum. Some people watching that. We don't want to disturb them. We'll keep going. Oh wow, we have a lot of World War II memorabilia out here. Huh, there's the actual war bonds. You put your war stamps in those little albums. Oh, look at that. FDR. Oh, that's cool. You got all this civil defense stuff too. Gotta protect the home front. Look at these old toy cars. My grandpa had some just like this in his drawer. I don't think his had the tops on them anymore though. It's interesting because this place is in the basement of the old Harvey house. I wonder what these rooms were originally used for. Maybe offices, maybe a kitchen. Look at this. Kaz wants to hitchhike. Oh, what do we have in here? So much Route 66 stuff. Ooh, here's a display about the old Casa del Desierto. Try and keep sort of stuttering. My jaw is still a little sore. Look at all this stuff right there. They even have one of the uniforms for one of the old Harvey girls. Those are the girls that used to operate these places. They did all the hard work. Pretty plain uniform. Check out the rules for the Harvey girls here. No makeup, no jewelry, no stains. Never converse with patrons and never flirt with patrons. You don't want to go mixing up business and pleasure. There's a lot of weird, very interesting stuff here. Look at this toothpaste. Oh, I see. It's the mineral challenge. The point here is that everything we use has some kind of minerals in it, and that they mine a lot of minerals out in the desert. Look at quartzite, sulfur, gypsum, pumice. Even cell phones are mined out here. Check out this old giant neon sign behind the counter there. It's weird because when people started caring about Route 66 again, and people would do these sort of retro signs and stuff like that, well, some of those businesses have closed, and some of that stuff has now become historical. Pretty interesting. Look at this old neon sign back here. The Boulevard Cafe. Dang, this sign is all the way from Duarte, California. That's out sort of near Pasadena, kind of. Way more in the LA area. I have no idea how this old sign made it all the way out to the desert. But since nobody in LA really ever thinks about the old Route 66, it's probably honestly a lot better off out here where more people will see it. Check that out. A lot of great stuff. Oh, look. another jukebox. Dang, that's a good looking one. I love stuff like this. Dang, there's a lot of Elvis on this bad boy. Remember the other day when we were going through downtown Barstow? Check out what it used to look like. Man, it really used to be quite the old hotspot. Look at, there's the scary bridge. Oh, no Del Taco yet. Dang, I wish I could visit Barstow back in 1948. These guys look like they're having a pretty good time. That is super awesome. 1948. I bet they used their iPhone to take this. Look at all these museums always have these big, giant displays. I don't know what you would call this. These giant, like, it's what you see in like Target and Walmart to sell posters, you know? And you can actually, if you have the time, always find a lot of great information and old pictures in these. Look at this. Life in Seligman, Arizona, 1915. Like, you would never expect to find information about Seligman in this museum. A lot of great old maps and old travel guides. Stuff like this is actually really useful information to me because I like to go find the oldest parts of Route 66 I can. Usually find a lot of abandoned weird stuff out there. I love old vintage Route 66 stuff. And I really like this display here with all these old toys. Like, check out this really old Barbie doll case. When my grandma was a little girl and they moved to Southern California, they came via Route 66 in 1955. She could have had a Barbie case very similar to this one. Maybe even a ponytail photo scrapbook. That's pretty awesome. What? About it. Not a huge museum, not the flashiest Route 66 museum I've ever seen, but definitely worth coming to see, especially since it doesn't cost anything. It's free! Of course, before we leave, we gotta say goodbye to John Wayne. Every good Route 66 stop has to have one of these. If they don't have a picture of James Dean, Elvis Presley, or Marilyn Monroe, they've got a picture of the Duke. Well, hey there, Pilgrim. Welcome to Barstow. I do a really crappy John Wayne impersonation. John Wayne lived in Orange County, where I live. I think his kids still live there. He was the first guy to ride Knott's Berry Farm's log ride. The Duke just loved to make logs. All right, time to go. I just hate to leave, because this place is awesome. At least I get to take Route 66 home. Oh, wait a minute. We can't forget about the gift shop. Look at this awesome model. Oh, wow. There's even more displays in here, including quite a sizable toy car collection. More views of old school Barstow. You don't think of it having much history when you're just going from LA to Vegas. It's just that place where you can get Chipotle. But it turns out a lot of fascinating stuff went on out here. This place, highly recommend. Okay. Back outside. Back to the wind. Well, took all day, but I finally got up here. Maybe next time I can go in the Railroad Museum here. I always make it a policy that whenever I buy a Route 66 book or something like that, rather than buy it on Amazon or eBay, I try to buy them from gift shops in the little mom and pop museums or roadside attractions and things like that along the road. They really need the money. It's a little more expensive here, probably $30 for a book instead of 20 or 25 or something like that. But I kind of think it's worth it. Look at when you're at Best Buy and you take a picture of something because you think you might want to buy it on Amazon. I totally get it. But this place, this is the kind of place you gotta support. Plus, maybe I'm just old school or superstitious or something like that, but I like actually buying the Route 66 book from Route 66, you know what I mean? I like taking the R2-D2 action figure out to where they actually film Star Wars. I like to try and go and put my hands on as many historical things as possible, like I've touched them, like their magic is gonna come off on me. Mark Twain used to joke that the American tourists love to chip pieces off of things so much. They were so crazy about souvenirs that's how the Sphinx lost its nose. A little bit of an exaggeration, but not much. I've never quite chipped off a chunk of road to take home with me from Route 66, but buying little souvenirs from it does make me feel like I'm taking part of the road home with me. And speaking of home and getting home, it's about that time. This year, hopefully in May, I plan on driving the entire Route 66 from Chicago to LA, or vice versa. I haven't decided yet. But first, in about a week from now, I've got to fly somewhere else. Hopefully I see some of you out there along the Mother Road. I know some of you guys have to live along the route of old 66. In the meantime, thank you for joining me on this little adventure. Many more adventures to come. I'll see you all a little further on down the line. From Barstow, California, we've done our duty. We can go home and sleep well. buttermilk, shoot like you. Skip to the loo, my darling. Give me crack corn and I don't care. Give me crack